Jamie's going to be our official timer for the day, and she's going to pull you off stage, candidates, if you aren't behaved. No, I'm just...
And I'm going to stand in the back by the camera so you can see me.
And she's going to be in the back by the camera so the candidates can see her. Let me get my right page. I should have had it out ahead of time. So I want to thank you very much for coming to this candidate forum. This is a forum and not a debate. So this is an opportunity for our business leaders in the community to hear about the candidates that are running for office, because the decisions that they make when they're elected will have a direct impact on your businesses, whether it be school board, township trustee, or the City of Pickerington City Council. And so it is important for us to understand who our leaders are. And as chair of the advocacy committee, I am proud to bring this forum to you all. And to give you a little background, we met with many of the candidates throughout the past several months. Had an opportunity to have some great conversation, ask questions of them. They shared their insight and why they're running for office with us. And that helped us formulate the questions that we will have for them today that are, we feel are business related and important for you to hear the answers to. The format is, so we will start with the school board. Then we will go to, once the school board, we ask questions of the school board, we will go to Violet Township trustees, and then we will end our forum with city council candidates. Each candidate will have 1 minute to introduce themselves. Then we have 4 questions per office that we will be asking the candidates. They will have 1 minute to answer their question, to answer the questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute, and then at the end, we will invite each candidate up for a 30-second closing statement. Like I said, they will be timed. Jamie, thank you so much for being my timer. And if you look in the back, especially for the candidates, you'll get a 20-second notice, and that's on a green piece of, has green background. And then also, when your time is up, it'll be stop. And so please respect that time and just have fun and let us know who you are, candidates. So at this time, I would like to invite all of the school board candidates to come up and join me up front. Wherever you would like to sit, it is your choice. Candidates, when it is your turn to come up, you will come up and use the podium. When you're done, you'll have a seat. We are going to go in this order, the way you sat. So, Mark, no pressure. You get to be the first victim, or I mean candidate to share who you are. And I'm going to mic up because I'm going to be standing off to the side asking the questions. The candidates will come up to the podium and share. So, Mark, if you would come up, and you have 1 minute to introduce yourself to the group.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'll dispense with the thanks for everybody being here since I only got 60 seconds. Some of my friends asked me why, after serving nearly 34 years on active duty in the Marine Corps and spending the last 3 years basically as a full-time substitute teacher in our Pickerington schools, that I'd want to be doing this. Of course, I got a wife at home I love. I got a daughter in the school district. The other main reason is that last year I volunteered for something else with the school district, Citizen Advisory Committee on Diversity, Equity, Inclusion issues. It turned out to be much more eye-opening than I expected. So I decided to do some more research on the district through the Ohio Department of Education mainly, uncovered a number of issues I wasn't aware of, things related to college and career readiness, kindergarten readiness, success for all students, some transparency and accountability issues, and finally some issues as it relates to engaging the entire community. And I decided as a result of all that, I wanted to try to be a more direct part of the solution, if you will. So That's my initial pitch. And I got the time. Just in time.
Good afternoon. I was trying to look at the clock and see is it afternoon or morning, so we're somewhere in between. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tony and candidates. My name is Vanessa Hayes Williams, and I am also a candidate for your local Pickerington School Board. I come to you as a mother of 4 children, 3 that have successfully graduated from the district, 2 from college, 1 currently a student at the University of Cincinnati, and we have a freshman currently in the district. I also come to you as the wife of a education advocate himself, Carl Williams. I, as with Mark just said, had an opportunity to serve our district at a greater level and helping to develop equitable discipline practices. And it was an opportunity that kind of left me with conversations within our community to say, hey, what else can I do? I am a lifetime educational advocate. I am a candidate for a doctoral in education, and I look forward to serving you and being the voice for our students and our families in our community. Sorry about that. Ooh, that time kind of got me. Got a little nervous. Woo!
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation to speak to everybody here today. My name is Ryan Holstein. I'm running for Pickerington Local School Board. My wife and I have been residents of Pickerington for about the past 15 years. We have 3 kids in the district, a 3rd, 4th, and 6th grader out of the Tollgate complex. I got into this race really to improve communication between the district and the community, advocate for a smart bond issue to be put on the ballot so we can expand our schools to accommodate the overcrowding issues that we're currently experiencing. I think many of you will recognize me from a lot of my community involvement, whether it's with the Tollgate Elementary PTO for the past 5 years. I'm an active member at Seton Parish, where I volunteer in a variety of capacities. I've served my homeowners association board as well. I'm very active with my kids' athletics and their endeavors. So I have a very vested interest in improving our schools to the extent that I know that we can. And with that being said, I'm here to answer any questions you have and serve our community. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Johnson. I am also a candidate for the Pickerington Local School District Board of Education. First of all, thank you all so much for taking a part of your morning and being here with us. That means a lot to all of us. I come in front of you not as just a candidate. I'm very invested in this community. I am an alumni of the school district in which I wish to serve, so this is very personal to me. I've seen the district grow, and it has successfully made me who I am. However, with that, you also get to see that with the school district growing, our leadership also needs to change with it. I believe I am a catalyst for that change. When we decide to all work together and see each other on the same front, we're better off for our students. We're better off as a community. When we communicate together and work together and understand that change is upon us and we embrace it, that is when we will see more success within our community. Again, I look forward to answering these questions. My name is Christian Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charles Newman. I also am a candidate for Pickerington Local School Board this coming election. Grew up in the city, 28 years, came here when I was 4 years old, went through the Pickerington Local School District school system, graduated from Pickerington High School North in 2006, met a beautiful woman and produced 5 kids and said, where do you take 5 kids? You bring them back to Pickerington and make sure they get the same great education that you got. And so that's why I'm running. I'm running because I have the unique experience of being in the chair, parenting a child in the chair, and actually married to a lovely woman who supports the children in the chair every day she goes to work at Tollgate Elementary School. I'm here today because I realize that collaboration is what it's going to take for all of us to make Pickerington better. And so like the great Patti LaBelle said in 1982, if you don't know me by now, then we've got a problem. And I'm here to make sure that you all know who Charles Newman is. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Can everybody hear me? Okay. So to make it fair, each question will progress to the next person will begin. So I'm going to start with you. All right. So and then we'll end with this first round of questions with Mark. First question for the candidates. With the bond issue failing twice, what strategies do you have that would address the projected growth in the district?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think one of the wonderful parts of answering that question is that I got to serve on the key communicator group for our district, which was a group of individual educators and the superintendent. And that was one of the questions posed to us. And here was the response. We must make people feel better in our district. We must make people understand that they are being beneficial and that they are serving as one of our stakeholders in helping to make decisions in our district. I think there needs to be a better education and a more shared vision of not only from a standpoint of putting a levy on the actual individuals, property owners, but we must also figure out other diverse funding mechanisms to help support our schools. And I believe there has been a number of those are identified in the schools. One of the things they have started to do is look at companies that owe taxes and haven't paid their fair share. So I believe there is a diverse opportunity in funding that we must look at and making sure that everyone pays their fair share in supporting education.
Thank you.
So the bond issue is actually the main reason why I got into this race. Our schools are overcrowded. We've put up 2 bond issues that have been pretty soundly defeated. So we're at a point now where we've gotten the feedback from the community. People's taxes are too high. They don't want to support the improvements that the bond issue is putting in there. So now we need to incorporate that feedback and change it so that when we go back and ask again for more money, that it actually passes the first time. We're at a critical point right now where even if we pass a bond issue today, our schools are not going to be able to feel relief for 2 to 3 years at a minimum. Right now, we're already in a situation where we're putting specials on carts, where we're having to have classrooms in common areas that were never meant to actually accommodate that. It's really important that we are able to communicate effectively to the community what our needs are and solely address those. We need classroom space and we need to improve the safety of our schools. Everything else in education is truly ancillary. So if we can put together a bond package that identifies and resolves those 2 key issues, I believe we can communicate and get the community to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you need the question, candidates, if you need the question repeated, please say, could you repeat the question? I'll be happy to.
That would actually give us more time, huh?
Well, give you more time to think about it.
That's what I'm saying. No, thank you for that question. So it has failed, and there's a significant amount of reasons why it's failed, but I do believe one of the main reasons is our 2 prior candidates mentioned something that I think is very crucial: communication. We're not having enough conversation with the people in the community. Yes, it is very important that we stress how important it is that our class sizes are overcrowded. However, if our community does not feel as though they're involved in the decision-making process, they're not going to pass something that we just put in front of them. A large reason why the bond has been so large is because we keep incorporating education in sports. We have to say, okay, if we're going to pass a bond issue, let me show you the importance of why education is important and why sports is important. If we continue to combine the 2, it is one robust bond issue at the same time. I understand we are education and sports in Pickerington, but there's some people who will buy into the fact that we do need more classrooms. Time. Okay. Thank you.
So there's no secret that bonds and levies are how schools operate in the state of Ohio under the current financial structure. Three elements. Community. We have to know what community means. That's an engagement aspect that our district has to elevate. We have to know what people in this community want by talking to them, by engaging, by moving beyond just 3 minutes on a Monday night, going into the community and getting the voice of the people. Collaborations. We need to present a plan that collaborates with the city, the townships, state government to do a long term, so we're not just returning every single 3 years with another vote. Collaborate and see what can get paid for and other resources. And then the last thing is going to be communication. People want to know what it is that we are asking for, what it is that we're getting for a bond, what this looks like. Many times people come up to me and say, we never hear about the struggles until it's time to vote. Throughout the year, we have to communicate what it looks like on a day-to-day basis in our classrooms so that when we come to an election, it's not a political move, but it's a personal move.
Okay, so the bottom line is that if you look at the survey that was done after that about why, some of the reasons people didn't want to pass it, they're across the board, but a big chunk of it had to do with taxes. Part of it had to do with, the mood of the community at the time as it relates to issues about fairness, as it relates to issues about how money transparently is spent within the district or not spent. The bottom line also, if I just wear my parent hat, I voted for it, but was it sold well? No, it really shouldn't be a district headquarters level effort. It should be a grassroots effort. Get some of your best PTO presidents together, folks like that. Do something completely at the grassroots level. Athletics is an integral part of education. You can read studies that talk about how that increases grade point average, test scores, et cetera. You don't need to be separating the two. You'll never get athletics passed as a separate issue. And by the way, if you look at the $95 million, that the athletic piece of that was less than 5. So it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Ryan, you'll begin by answering this question. What ideas do you have to address and resolve the concerns about diversity and inclusion in the district?
It's a great question. I think this goes back to another tenet of my campaign is improving communication. If you look on both sides of the issue with diversity and inclusion, there are groups that simply get a piece of information and they run with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if we can complete a catalog of what our diversity curriculum actually is, communicate that to the public in an effort of transparency, I really think that we can resolve a lot of the thoughts on both sides of the issue of are we doing enough or can we do more? I don't even think that we actually know what we have right now. We have a bunch of bits and pieces out there. We did have some committees that took a look at some of the data from the district, but I don't think we have that complete picture yet for what we're actually doing in our schools, because a lot of these are building level initiatives, and every building does things a little bit differently. So I believe that if we can get this catalog of the curriculum prepared, communicate it to folks, and show them what we're actually doing in schools, I think we can get rid of some of the noise, but certainly are there areas that we can improve at with diversity and inclusion? 100%. This happens across the board in corporate America and in our schools. Thank you.
Ooh, diversity question. So, one thing that I think I differ with Ryan and what he communicated is the fact that there isn't enough. We have something, so it's not just a matter of communicating what we have, it's a matter of incorporating more. There's an issue when we step into schools and our diversity is not represented either from the top down or even respected. One of the large reasons why I got involved, even just being a student, an alumni from the district, what I believe we need to do is just understand our differences starting from the top down and then incorporating it on the building level. When we start to understand that, yes, we have differences, but there's a lot of us that are alike, we can start actually finding common ground. Curriculum is definitely a large piece of it, but just being a human and seeing people our student right next to you and understanding that they have differences and they're unique and there's characteristics about them that make them special, when we can start to make it very plain and very real to them, that's when we'll start making some real change in this district.
So when it comes to diversity, I believe before one can speak about diversity in curriculum, diversity in hiring, we have to look at diversity in thought. And the real question has to be in the rooms that make the decisions and where we're going, when we look around them, does everybody look the same? If that's the answer to that question, then that's our first step. And I think what's happening in our community is so many people are going to the end result and not starting at the grassroots. The grassroots result is to making sure that every single space that we have in this community has different faces, have different backgrounds, have different life experiences. That's how you work diversity into everything else that you're doing. Diversity is not a curriculum taught thing, it's a life lived thing. When you live by someone who's diverse, you learn that that person is just as equal as you are. When you go to school with somebody that's diverse, when you work with somebody that's diverse, none of us in this room really read a book on diversity. We experience diversity. And so we have to be the incubator of that experience. Our schools have to encourage that on all levels, from the board to the PTO.
The biggest thing is to improve learning for everybody first, and I tell people three things. One, you got to embrace high expectations for all the kids, both academics and behavior. You don't assume they know what that means. Teach it, reinforce it. Second, you got to establish trusting, caring, respectful relationships with all the students so that they want to meet those high expectations. Third, you got to provide engaging instruction that involves the kids in their own learning so that there's less likelihood for them to be bored, distracted, unchallenged. Beyond that, there are other specific things that we need to be doing more of. We need to make sure we're doing regular cultural competency and implicit bias training. We need to have a staff that's basically more representative of the student population. We need to look at how discipline is done in the schools. There's something called restorative practices. All it really basically means is trying to hold a kid accountable for what they're doing and responsible for what they're doing, as opposed to just suspending them. Suspending them should be a last resort. That is not what we should be doing with kids.
I think instead of diversity, we should be talking more about inclusion. Inclusion, when we think about inclusion, we're talking about practices and policies and procedures and structures that does not start with one color, one type of person, but is equitable for all. I think what we learned from the Citizens Committee advisory is that we need to learn how discipline impacts our students, understanding the struggles and the strategies that they bring to the table and how to discipline them based on helping them to grow and not to punish them. I think as we move forward, one of the things as a board member we need to look at is what do those policies and procedures look like to develop those platforms at the building level so that inclusion can exist. One of the things we were able to do recently was to change some of the language from felons and victims in our Infinite Campus system so that students will be seen equitably when they are entering the military, college, and career tech. And so those are the type of things that we need to look at.
Thank you, candidates. Christian, this will be your question to start answering first. So how do you think Pickerington schools can work closer with the business community to provide internships or job shadowing opportunities to students that may not head off to a four-year college?
Absolutely. So two parts to that. One, I loved when I was in school and I had the opportunity. I was 11th grade year. I had the opportunity at the time. I wanted to be a teacher. I had the opportunity to intern, if you will, or job shadow with a second grade teacher, Miss Sipley, if any of you all know her. And that really, so I did go on to a four-year college and graduate with my teaching degree, but just that in-house experience while I was in school allowed me the opportunity to see or solidify the fact that that's what I wanted to do. Incorporating more opportunities like that would be great. I mentioned when I met with the chamber a couple weeks ago that I would love more mentoring within our business. With me being a small business owner of two companies, I realized the importance of mentorship, especially when we start sparking those ideas of entrepreneurship very early. I wish that I had known early on that was an opportunity that I could make successful. In addition to that, I would love like a co-working. Oh man, Thank you.
Thanks for respecting the time.
I'll pick up, Christian. I got you. Something we both agree with is a co-working incubator idea. There needs to be avenues for our students to get real life experience. There's no secret that when you enter this job market now, you are no longer competing against other recent college graduates. You're competing against experienced workers who unfortunately had to return back to the workforce. And so when employers are looking at that, they're looking at who has real life work experience to compile with education. All of you in here have that opportunity to provide something that none of our schools can provide. And that is that real working experience, that going in, clocking in, knowing what that is. I'll never forget my sister when she got her first job and she said, somebody named FICA took all of my money. And so we laugh, but the simple plan is that you went through school, she was an honor roll student, got a full ride to Ohio State, and did not understand that when she goes to work, that taxes were going to be taken out. She didn't have that real world experience. And so we have to create that.
Okay, so the main thing here is to recognize when kids get out of high school, there's one of four main paths they could be going on. One is employment, one is entrepreneurship, one is college or a trade school, and the other is the military. We do a good bit with college, obviously. The bottom line is that by the time kids get into junior high, for sure by the time they get to high school, we need to look at something like the counselor ratio to figure out whether we got enough support in the high schools to be able to help these kids vector them and guide them into the right places. We don't use this organization here, obviously, that as well as we could. I don't know how. I would assume that we should have somebody from the district, attending those business advocacy meetings every month or at least quarterly, to start to grow the partnership that exists locally right here. The other thing is that you really need to, it doesn't affect business here so much, but you need to think about something like JROTC units in the high school as it relates to that military option. The bottom line is that there's plenty to be done as it relates to all four of those. College has already done a lot. Let me stop there.
As a person that practices lifetime learning as a principal, I believe also that we have educators in the room, and that includes in our workforce. I have personally been able to develop programs and grants that have used workforce and development as a platform for learning for our students. I agree with the previous candidates that having that experience working aside you, understanding some of the lingo, places them in a better position of success. When we talk about our district has done a great job at graduating students, but we're talking about career pathways. And the only way we will be able to successfully do that is at a younger age, not high school, but at junior high and elementary, having that introduced. We talk about overcrowding in our schools. In the back of my mind, why aren't we introducing our students to soft skills? Why are we not sending them over to the library learning about research? These are all skill sets that will serve them better, whether they decide to go to college, military, or to a career tech position.
So I think one of the limiting factors in our community is that we don't have enough small businesses. We don't have an environment that's conducive to starting your own business and keeping it here. Many of you have been very successful in that, and that's a fantastic thing for each of you. But I'm sure there's not just money in the budget to just bring on interns every year and start to pay them to do some of the work that you have around your office or your business. So I would love to see a partnership where we could have volunteer efforts for some of our school clubs and communities to come in, maybe help one of our small businesses with a project that they have. And then on the flip side of that, they get to hear about what that business does and how they operate and what the pathway is in the real world for that particular industry. I think that having these partnerships with our local community is germane to our students' success. And the second part of that is to make our community a thriving place for business so that we can attract more folks here who want to have their business here, and we can grow that base because we have 12,000 students in the district. There are simply not enough small businesses to go around to partner with. So we need to do both of those things to partner with our small businesses we have and then grow that base as well through other offices. Thank you.
All All right, thank you. Charles, you're up. So, fourth and final question, and as promised, the candidates will have 30 seconds to close. How will you work with your fellow board members to share your vision for Pickerington schools and work toward moving your initiatives forward?
So I think the key word in your statement was sharing. I think the most unique about what you see with all the candidates up here is that we all have different backgrounds, we all have different life experience, and we all have the opportunity to serve on a board where we can share with one another. In our community, that has become a lost art, sharing our visions with each other and working collaborative. My goal is to understand that when I get on this board, it's not the Charles Newman show. It's not the Charles Newman and Friends show. It's the Pickerington show. And all of us are supporting cast members to work together to ensure that what we come to the table with is put together, shared with our community, and the onset and outcome will be a viable outcome that our community can support, because when it's made, it is a shared thought process that represents all of us. And so you get initiatives passed. The true meaning of teamwork, the true meaning of what all of us want out of this is being able to sit at a table, cash out your differences, and then come out on the other side and say, this is what's best for our district.
One more time? Go ahead, one more time.
Okay.
Repeat it.
How will you work with your fellow board members to share your vision for Pickerington schools and work toward moving your initiatives forward?
Okay, so I've been trying to do that for the last 3 months in a way. Part of what I've been doing is those things I mentioned at the beginning. I've been taking the last 2.5 months where the school board meetings, you're allowed 3 minutes to talk. So I've had to break my little platform, down into 3-minute chunks so that I'm talking to, if I get elected, people that are on the board already, to try to get across some of what I think are some of the most important ideas that they might not be focused on right now and that the district might need to be focused on more. Second, we talk a lot about communication, but one of the other big things that really needs to happen is that, the board has a meeting, and that's really the gist of it. The board ought to be out having town halls occasionally, focus groups occasionally, so that it's not just, hey, there's one meeting and we don't provide you any results of it. If you watch the YouTube, then if you didn't, or you didn't attend, you don't really know anything about it. There's certainly more to be done to be interacting with each other to provide a greater level of trust and confidence. That's it.
I have spent my whole life developing opportunities to serve others within a collaborative community. As I reflect on my time here in Pickerington schools, what I can share with you is that I am one of those individuals that believes in jumping in and trying to figure out how I can help. That has best been demonstrated as Mark has shared through some of the work that we've done with the Citizens Advisory Council. In other ways, it has been done as I volunteered to serve as the vice president for my PTO at my school, or I'm on the field at the football team serving as Mamacita. But what I can share with you is that I constantly try to find ways to align with the shared vision. One of the questions you asked, what would my vision be? And what I can share with you, it wouldn't be my vision, it would be your vision. And I am just that voice for that vision, carrying that out. So to serve you would be an honor. Thank you.
This may be a common refrain that I've said a lot, but communicate and collaborate. In the private sector, I manage a group of developers. And if I don't communicate effectively with my stakeholders, things get rocky really quick, okay? So when elected to the board, it is vitally important that we communicate openly, directly, and we collaborate with each other without preconceived notion. So for instance, I told you earlier I have a 3rd, 4th, and 6th grader. One of the things that I've been running on is consolidating our 2-hour delays that we have once a month into one full day. So for parents and businesses, that's a huge impact when all of a sudden our kid's day starts much later and we have to accommodate that. Perhaps they're unaware that that's an issue for a lot of our parents in the community, that we have to make these shifts in our schedule. Maybe they're not aware of that. So how do you resolve that? You communicate and you work with people to understand these are some significant barriers to my workday, and we need to resolve this for all of our community. And I feel like if we can communicate and collaborate effectively, then we can work with any one of these people or anyone that's currently on the board. Thank you.
Okay, Tony, I am going to have you repeat that
Hey,
question.
that's all right. How will you work with your fellow board members to share your vision for Pickerington schools and work toward moving your initiatives forward?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I also agree with Charles and Ryan. It is the fact that we have to work together. We can't properly produce great work for our students, for our community, for our parents if we don't work collaboratively first as a board. That means all becoming on one accord. I never believe that we should face the community in discord. We have to all be on the same page when it comes to communication, when it comes to rightfully enacting proper ordinances for our children. When we do that, when our vision is shared, when we are all on one page, then we can be effective communicators. That also includes communicating with our community. What are the needs, desires of our community members? That also looks like not just my vision. I will be one of a group of board members. That's not just okay for just my vision to be complete. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. I'm going to invite Mark up. We'll start here and work our way down. 30 seconds for closing. And I understand, let me just share, I understand the time amount is very short, and this is to all the candidates in the room. However, it's short because you all are business owners, and we want to respect your time, and there are a lot of candidates. And so that is the reason, if anyone is wondering.
Let me just say this real quick at the beginning. On my website and Facebook page, I put a lot of specific ideas out there about those 4 things I mentioned at the very beginning. Let me just say this. I believe that my time as a substitute teacher the last 3 years has given me a lot of insight and perspective into the issues and challenges that our staff and students face. And more importantly, I believe that my time in the Marine Corps, working on multi-$100-million budgets, developing training standards, formulating policy documents is all transferable stuff to the district. And finally, I believe that the leadership, teamwork, and communication skills that I learned in the Marine Corps can help move both the district and the board together forward.
Again, thank you for this opportunity to share this, I guess it's a stage or floor with the other candidates, as well as to have an opportunity, hopefully afterwards, to meet with all of you. Again, my name is Vanessa Hayes Williams. I come to you as a parent, educational advocate, a surrogate advocate for children with disabilities. And I believe that my position on the board would help to serve as someone who is familiar with workforce development, has implemented successful programs in the state of Ohio, as well as in other municipalities that look like Pickerington. I look forward to contributing and continuing to serve, whether it's on this board or in my walk in education within our community. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today and giving us your valuable time. I appreciate that. To the viewers at home watching this, I also appreciate you taking the time to watch. I'm a parent. I'm not a politician. I'm here to help our kids. I want to advocate for our students, our community, our staff members. And I'm asking you on November 2nd to take the opportunity to get some fresh voices on the board and give me your vote. My name is Ryan Holstein, and I'm running for Pickerington Local School Board. Thank you.
All right, y'all, before we get out there and get wild and vote, I want you to just remember a couple things when you do that. Talk to your students, talk to your teachers, talk to your community members before you go ahead and cast your vote, because who you vote for, those are the decisions that will impact those people. My name is Christian Johnson, and I am before you as an alumni, as a small business owner, as a former teacher, and as a viable community member. The decisions we make on November 2nd will impact all of our lives, and I will gratefully love to be your change agent.
Thank you all for coming. You've heard candidates that platforms are built on data that's accessible to all of us. You've heard them built on their resumes that's attainable by all of us. But there's not many candidates that are authentic because they have the life experience of sitting in the chair in a Pickerington local school district classroom, looking at teachers, and then coming back and raising their children and hearing from their family on what this district is experiencing every day. That's the difference. And so when you walk in on November 2nd, my goal is that you vote for authentic. And that's Charles Newman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates. I would invite you to stick around so you can talk to the members afterwards. I am, at this time, I'm going to invite up the township trustee candidates. And I do want to say, while the township trustee candidates come up, that we did have quite a few candidates take advantage of something we did new this year. So this year we made videos. We invited all the candidates to the chamber and we recorded them sharing who they are, what their platform is. So if you want more information, you can go to the chamber's YouTube page and view any and all of the candidates that participated. And I will tell you, with this event today and with the videos, we invited all candidates. It was up to each candidate to choose whether they were going to take this opportunity or not, dependent on their schedule. We, with the advocacy committee, chose this year not to endorse any candidates. The videos are very neutral. They are candidate driven. I hosted the videos and asked leading questions, but all candidates received the same exact questions. It was the same format for every video. And so I thank you, school board candidates, for being here today, sharing your message and why you're running. Thank you, township trustee candidates, as well as city council candidates. And so we will have a same format that we had with the school board. We're going to start at this end, and we're going to go that way, and we'll just rotate at the beginning of each question to the next person. And so I'm going to, Shelby, you're going to be first, so you're going to come up. You have 1 minute to share who you are and why you're here.
Okay. Yeah, thank you to the chamber for having this event and hosting it. Thank you for all for attending. My name is Shelby Xavier Hunt. I'm a 20-year resident here in the township and in Pickerington. I'm a Christian conservative that felt compelled to run because I didn't like the direction that I saw that this community was going, not only from the standpoint of the infrastructure improvements that need to be done. We also see the increasing congestion. We see potential increase in taxes, and also the divisiveness that I see brewing in the community. So again, I thank you for your time. I look forward to having you check out my site at huntforviolet.org. That's huntforviolet.org, and I look forward to the questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Matthews. I'm running for Violet Township Trustee. The reason I'm running, I've been involved in the community on multiple levels as a business owner for nearly 20 years, but I feel we're at a critical point in our future. Right now, it may be news to people that our current development is 90% zoned residential. The school district is getting crushed with additional students. If we don't change our course, we're going to get more of the same. There's only so much space in the schools. They're going to ask for more money, more pressure on the homeowners. I believe a balanced economic approach to our future development can help solve those problems. Yes, we'll have residential, but we're going to need commercial where we can have jobs here, eat dinner here, not have to leave. Those things can pay for things like other communities have with amphitheaters, libraries. We can use that to fund safety, additional police. Right now, We hear every election cycle, sidewalks. They never happen. We need to put our funds and resources to making Violet Township the most and best place it can be.
Hello, I'm Melissa Wild, current Violet Township trustee, and asking for another 4 years. I am a mother of 3 teenagers and married for about 20 years. We first moved to this community to establish our first home. I grew up in the military, my husband was in the military, and this was the place that gave me my first home. So I first ran to give back to the community that gave me my first home. I'm running today because I have children that will hopefully one day have grandchildren, and I want to make this a place that's going to be an amazing place for my grandchildren one day. I think we're at this crossroads where we can stay with status quo and we can have houses built, we can have everything stay the same and progress along the same lines, or we can have some vision. And that's what I'm asking you to join me on, is to create some vision and to work with me to create a better future for the generations that are coming behind us.
Mark, I'm going to invite you up. You're going to start with the first question that we have for you.
Okay.
What do you believe is the #1 challenge within the township?
I believe the #1 challenge we face right now is our current zoning. We are going to be inundated with houses because we have a wonderful school district. People want to live here, but we've got to be able to work together in a partnership with the schools, the county, the city, to make sure that we have development that makes sense, that we could pay for the things that need to get done. That includes paying for schools. Proper economic development can be a revenue generator to make a better quality of life, not be nothing more additional than a drain on our community.
So I believe our current situation and our what Mark said here is our zoning. The problem that we are seeing, and why I started the land use plan earlier in the year that should be finished by December, is because we do have a problem and we are losing our green space. Those places that we grew up and that were magical in our childhood and that we want our children to have and we want our grandchildren to have, we're losing those spaces. And so we need to have a real plan and really work to save those places. We're gonna have more homes. We're going to have great safety services, not because of us, because we have great chiefs and great leaders in the safety services industry. We're going to have great roads because you keep passing levies. Thank you. It's not because of us, but where we're going in the future, that is what is critical right now. If we lose those green spaces, they're gone forever. If houses go on those spaces, they're gone. That's all. So that is where we are right now. That is the critical moment that we're in. Are we going to let that happen, or are we going to take back our space?
I too agree that the zoning is the biggest issue facing the township currently. As we can see that the high density housing that's going in on these roadways just simply can't handle it. If you've looked at the change, particularly out in the area that I live near Refugee and Pickerington Road, that intersection is becoming more and more dangerous as more and more developments go in. So as the others had discussed, we need to come up with a better comprehensive plan. We need to retool the master plan for the area. We know that there's going to be some residential development along with that, but we need to look at how the size of these plots that we're going to be allowing these houses to be put on. But we also need to start developing manufacturing business in that commercial sector. We as a country and as a community need to start manufacturing things back locally. Thank you.
Melissa, this will be your question to answer first. So what specific types of businesses should we attract to Violet Township, specifically higher wage jobs, which keep our residents working local as opposed to leaving the community for work?
So there's a couple different things. I think during the pandemic, we've all seen the changes that are coming. There's 3 things that we really need to focus on. And one of them, we have Andy back here who is doing a fantastic job. More medical, because medical is something that we all need and we want quick access to. Number 2, we have a lot of highly educated people who are going into Columbus. They're working in offices in Columbus. We need to have them here. Number 3, all of us are moving towards activities that are more experiential. We want things to do with our families, and those are businesses that are going to do very well in the future, because as we are gaining back more free time, that is what we want to do. We want to go and we want to make memories with our kids, with our grandkids, with our friends. So those are the 3 types of businesses that we really need to work on bringing into the community.
As I concluded with my first answer with the question, we need to look at manufacturing type of businesses. So we really need to look to that. The opportunity will be on the 33 corridor to try and develop, again, businesses that are manufacturing jobs. But it also goes to what the candidates were talking about with the Board of Education, is that we need to start preparing our students locally for jobs in those types of industries, and not necessarily always a path towards college. We need to look at, again, those type of internship programs. We also talked about the COVID response. I think that's going to be important as well for us to look at companies, that what their policies are going to be, because some of the issues that we're facing with employment participation ties into the mandates that are coming forth from the federal level and also on the state level. So thank you for your time.
What I envision to attract jobs and high-quality jobs is a comprehensive long-term plan. We cannot be reactionary. We cannot jump at the latest and greatest. I have an office in New Albany that has wonderful green space, has walking paths, biking trails. That will attract businesses. They have mixed-use, nice restaurants. A library is a part of a town that have an amphitheater that the local high schools can have bands and entertainment and things there. It's a quality of life issue. Major employers and high-quality jobs are not going to come without a quality community, and proper planning is the key to getting that done.
Shelby, this is going to be your question to start answering first. Do you believe that the township should recommend business incentives or somehow utilize the Port Authority for incentives to future investors?
Thank you for that question, because I was just doing some investigation, obviously, for running for this office. And I was seeing that the Port Authority really hasn't been active in the last several years, and I think that that's a key resource that we do need to tap into, to see what incentives that we can use through that avenue to try and attract businesses to the area. There's other organizations that we can reach out to also on the county and the state level to try and assist us to attract those different types of businesses. The Ohio Township Association has legislative agendas that go along those lines as well, that we can tap into.
In regards to business incentives and the Port Authority, business incentives need to be used very selectively to make sure that they are not taking assets away from our schools, our fire departments, and things like that. Too often you see in communities, those businesses will use those and then leave as soon as they're over. That is unacceptable. That is part of a poor short-term planning. In regards to the Port Authority, I'm on that board, have been for a couple of years, and it is truthfully been kind of dormant, sitting there not being an asset. Many of you do not know that we can have future growth that runs through the Port Authority, so when someone would build a building, they wouldn't have to pay sales tax on it and some other things like that that would incentivize a business to come to our community without taking resources from our school and other entities. Those are the types of plans and thought process we need to make everything as possibly good for all residents in our community, not just a select few.
So townships operate a little bit different than cities, and so there's other things that we have to think about when we're doing economic development. And like Mark said, you can use the Port Authority to help save some taxes when people are coming in here. There are some things that we can do, though, as a township. Shovel-ready properties, that's really important. We don't have shovel-ready properties here. That is something that I have asked to have happen, and I need partners that are willing to do that. Number two, we have to have partners, because in a township, we don't have all the resources cities have in order to have the most benefit to for our communities, including our income tax. We don't collect income tax, you guys. So we cannot go it alone. We have to make sure that we are partnering. These are all issues that we would love to bring more businesses in. However, we cannot bring businesses in at the expense of our schools. We cannot do that. If they are not paying taxes, we don't want them. Okay.
Mark, this will be your question to answer first. So how will you work with your fellow trustees to share your vision for the township and work toward moving your initiatives forward?
Well, I think we have to, just like in life, we all have to work together. I've been a business owner for 20 years. You can't singly drive an idea that you believe without collaborating. I've reached out to my fellow candidates, other people, city council, county officials. We have to work together to make something happen. It's not a one-person show, not the Mark Matthews show or anybody else here. It's about a collaborative effort to bring all the best ideas together to get the best result.
Stop you. I just want to pick.
I know.
I don't want any of you to fall.
Can you repeat again, please?
Absolutely. How will you work with your fellow trustees to share your vision for the township and work toward moving your initiatives forward?
You know, I think we have a really great opportunity right now. We have folks running who have a lot of the same vision for this community. They have visions of sidewalks and saving green space. They have visions of bringing in businesses that are going to help with our schools. They have visions of safety services, and these are things that we can sit down. But not only our trustees, we also have to work with Reynoldsburg and Pickerington. We actually have five cities here, not just Pickerington. So we have to work with everybody in order to make this place successful. So we have to have those partnerships all across the board. Just having those working relationships, the collaborations, and having the constant communication between all of them, that's going to be very important. But I do believe that we have an opportunity right now to make sure that we have a couple people who have all that vision that you want to see in this community.
Well, some of my background comes from media management and business management, where I've had to, balance budgets, meet sales goals, and those things. A lot of that is data driven. And so to get buy-in from my fellow township trustees would be to take an approach of data driven research, and not research where we already know what the outcome we're wanting to have. Let the research tell us what it is, and then we act upon that accordingly. And I would hopefully then be able to convince the other township trustees to go along with that. And again, with that is also the power of sales persuasion. I have some of that underneath my belt as well. Thank you.
So, Melissa, you will have 30 seconds to close.
So like I said, when I first ran, I ran to give back to my community. Today, I'm standing here because I have 3 teenagers that I want a better future for. I want to make sure that they have a place where they're going to come back and raise their kids. I think we have a great opportunity to have some vision here and to build the future that we all want to see. And I am in a room full of visionaries and hope that you join me on this journey.
culture is downstream, or politics is downstream from culture. I'm a Christian conservative that wants your vote because I'm going to externalize those faith-based principles that I believe in. We've heard a lot of talk of respect, and I think that goes back to a grounding in faith. Again, my name is Shelby Hunt. My website is huntforviolet.org, and I ask for your vote on November 2nd. Thank you.
I could conclude with sharing this perspective with you. If you want a better future for Violet Township, we need to change. Most of my opponents have been in some form of public office, and we've had the same old talk with very little results. I believe to get something done, you have to have a plan, you have to follow it, and you have to move forward. If you share the vision that I do, that Violet Township and the city of Pickerington could be the best place to live in Central Ohio, or however you want to qualify it, I would ask for your vote. Thank you. Mark Matthews, for Violet Township Trustee.
Thank you, trustee candidates. We appreciate your time. I'd like to invite the candidates for Pickerington City Council up to the chairs. And again, we will keep the same format. So each candidate will have a minute. We did have Cornelius sign up, but I don't see him here today. So we're going to have two candidates. Keep in mind, we did invite all of the candidates for all of the offices. So thank you, gentlemen, for taking the opportunity. And so, Kevin, you are in the hot seat. Come up and tell us who you are and why you're running.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Kevin Kemper, and I am running for Pickerington City Council. If you recognize me, it may be because 2 years ago I ran for this position and came up just a little bit short. I'm running on a lot of the same issues that I ran on 2 years ago because, frankly, they haven't been solved. We're talking about many of the things you've heard already today: sidewalks and bike paths, economic development, old downtown Pickerington revitalization, and regional cooperation. I have lived in our community here for about 7 years with my family, my wife Brianna and our kids Aiden and Zoe. We really love it here. We think it's a great community, but it's not meeting its potential. And so I look forward to talking with you all this afternoon about how we can do that. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I want to say thank you to the Chamber for having this event and all of you for being here. My name's Tony Barletta. I've served on City Council for 12 years. My wife Tammy and I moved here 25 years ago, and my two sons graduated from Central High. So I've really enjoyed serving as a city councilman, and I share a lot of the thoughts that Kevin mentioned. I think building a network of walking paths can improve Pickerington's chances of getting selected by site selectors who want to site an industry in and around your community. And I think that's one of the cornerstones we have to build on. Our school district is one of our biggest assets, and obviously they're asking for more money over and over again, and people are getting tired of being asked to pay for it all by themselves. So we have to think long-term and work to get some commercial development that will help us. Thank you.
Tony, I'm going to ask you to stay up. We don't have the rotation numbers like we did. So you guys are going to feel like you're bouncing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But thank you, I appreciate it. So a challenge we have seen and heard from businesses is that it is expensive to open a business in Pickerington. What ideas do you have to incentivize businesses or find ways to reduce fees to open a business in Pickerington?
That's a good question. Yeah, we do have a fee structure, and in different parts of the town, it can cost you more money because of our standards are different. I guess we could work with companies to develop, we'd have to develop some incentive plans to attract the kind of businesses we want. I think that's the most critical thing. Thank you.
So the question is how,
So I'll reread it for
Yeah.
you. A challenge we've seen and heard from businesses is that it's expensive to open a business in Pickerington. What ideas do you have to incentivize businesses or find ways to reduce fees to open a business in Pickerington?
Gotcha. Yeah, so I've heard this is an issue for several years. And for example, I heard of a grocery that moved into town that paid higher fees here in Pickerington than they did almost anywhere else in the country. What is it about Pickerington that makes us so special that we have these high fees? Well, we shouldn't have these high fees. What I would do, and I'm sure it's not an easy solution, but I think we would need to start by talking with our business community and really get a sense, talking with the chamber, what is it that businesses need? Where are the pain points? How do we even those out? I'm also under the understanding that sometimes for, say, architectural review, things like that, it's sent out to contractors for that, and then if there are any revisions, it has to come back. So those are things that we can work on as well.
So in June, city council members voted unanimously to adopt the comprehensive land use plan. What ideas from the plan do you believe we need to focus on first, and what long-range ideas would you like to see come to fruition?
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of very good ideas in that long-range plan. The issue I have is, will those plans actually be executed? Several years ago, the city paid $35,000 for a downtown study to revitalize downtown. And that study has sat on a shelf ever since. They never adopted it, never did anything with it. So it's great to have a good plan, but we have to actually execute on it. As far as what I like in the plan, I like the focus on economic development. Specifically, there's an area around Busey Road that would be a prime spot for a business park. I believe there's also residential zoning in there. I don't know that I agree with that. But economic development, and then, again, I say this over and over, we got to focus on sidewalks and bike paths. Thanks.
Yeah, the comprehensive plan I was very proud to vote to support it. I think in the short term, if we can work on within the city limits, attracting more medical along Refugee Road and some other areas of the city. The parts of the plan that are on the outskirts of the city, like out by Busey Road or toward the intersection of Route 33 and Pickerington Road, a lot of those areas don't have the infrastructure necessary for business yet. They don't have sewer and water service. So it gives us a great opportunity to work collaboratively with the county and the township to make sure those utility installations can be put in, and we can create some shovel-ready sites to speed the process so we can get some business located out there. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
It's clear that our residential growth will continue. However, what specific types of businesses should we attract to Pickerington that you believe would keep our residents working local as opposed to leaving the community for work?
Well, I'm a little bit biased. I've worked in manufacturing for 36 years, and now I work in Canal Winchester. I would love to see manufacturing come back to America so that we can create wealth and value in this country instead of shipping our money overseas. It also would help. There are a lot of students that come out of high school and maybe they don't want to go to college, but they could do something else. And right now, the opportunities are working in restaurants and service industries, and I think we could do a lot better for ourselves if we manufactured. Office buildings are also a good thing. You tend to get a little higher incomes. And medical, of course, is something we all need and would like to have accessible to us. Thanks.
So the types of businesses we would like to see.
Yeah, I'll read it for
Yep.
you. So it's clear that residential growth will continue. However, what specific types of businesses should we attract to Pickerington that you believe would keep our residents working local as opposed to leaving the community for work?
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I have to agree with Tony. I would love to see some smaller manufacturing, light industrial, and again, on the outskirts of town over by Busey Road is a prime spot. It's close to 33, and the access there would be great for a lot of those businesses. We need more professional businesses as well. And, we've got a great incubator downtown that is also a little bit of a co-working space. We should look at more opportunities like that because as we've all seen in the last year, this trend of working from home, that's not going away. More people are going to continue working from home, but they're also going to need space where they can go for meetings and things like that. We also need to encourage our entrepreneurs, and that goes back to the previous question about making it easier for businesses to start up. We need to do things to make it easier for our businesses to start. Thanks. Every single time.
It's all right, brother. It's all right. So how will you work with your fellow council members to share your vision for the city of Pickerington and to work towards moving your initiatives forward?
Yeah. So I know a lot of the council members. I'm friendly with Tony. I know Nick. I know Brian. I know other folks on council. We're not all going to agree. That's clear. We all have different platforms. But as many of the other candidates have said here today, collaboration, communication. It's just, we do it every day in our professional lives. We're successful at it. There's no reason we can't do that in local city government. It's just having respect for one another, collaborating, and working together. Thanks.
Yeah, I guess I have some experience doing this. It's important to know that council is a team. We have to work together. I've never really fancied myself a politician, and maybe that's a weakness in the environment that we work in at City Hall. But I think I can make a convincing case for my ideas, and I'm very willing to listen to my colleagues on council to bring ideas home when I think they are of value to the community. Thank you.
Nice. All right, so you have 30 seconds to close it out.
All right. Tony Barletta for City Council. Fiscal responsibility is my number one. We live within our means. We need to build those bike paths. Walkability is a good way of attracting businesses to our community, and also creates a great situation for our families and for public safety. And we need economic growth. We need businesses around the outskirts to help bring some income into our district. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. I really appreciate it, taking your time out of the middle of the day. I want to thank the candidates who respect all of you enough to show up here and give you their time. My name's Kevin Kemper. I'm running for City Council. I'm focused on sidewalks and bike paths, economic development, regional cooperation, and revitalizing old downtown Pickerington. There's a lot of information available on my website, votekemper.com. The things I'm proposing are things that I think people want and we can have if we work together. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We appreciate you being here. So that actually concludes our candidate portion of today. I know that Chelsea has some closing. But thank you very much. I hope you walk away today feeling more informed about a majority of the candidates running for office in our community. And so this was for you. Please share feedback with Chelsea how we can make it better, because we want this to be the best situation for you to keep you informed about what's going on that's impacting our business community. Thank you.